This is Drink Talk, where we try to solve the world's problems, one drink at a time. This week, we'll be having a schmattering of beers and discussing things science can't explain. We are your hosts, Brian and Britt.
All right. Well, take two.
Take 2.0 here. Yeah,
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see how the day goes.
We got a new camera here, and we tried reinstalling it, and I probably should have done a system reset.
Yeah.
And so we'll see if this one works, and if it doesn't work, then we'll just go back to the raw audio.
Yeah, we seem to be having some audio issues, which it looks like now we're doing fairly good.
Yeah,
so
everything seems to be running just fine. So let's get back to what we started drinking from the get-go.
Initially, we started with the Fathom IPA by Ballast Point. Ballast Point comes to us from California. I'm not sure. Oh, San Diego, California.
San Diego,
which stands for a whale.
No, that's
the
not right.
most ridiculous thing I have ever heard.
I see that you cut the cheese there, Brian.
I did cut the cheese.
Perfect.
Yes, we have some truffle cheddar cheese over here as well. So looks you could immediately smell that truffle. But anyway, back to the beer.
Fathom IPA.
Fathom IPA by Ballast Point. I love the
and if you look this up in the dictionary, fathom means to understand something very difficult.
Which is what we are trying to do here, because science is trying to understand something very difficult here.
Just like computer programming and cameras.
Issues with that, yeah.
Go figure.
And I know you know the answer now because we've already talked about this, but the Ballast Point actually uses a device on their logo. Do you know what that is, Britt?
I can't remember the name.
Sextant.
That's it. I knew it was something sexual, kind of.
Yeah. It's a device for using for the horizon, the stars, and all that stuff. So, but this Fathom IPA is a West Coast style IPA, which
6%,
6% ABV and 50 IBUs, International Bitterness Units. So about halfway through the IBU count there. And the West Coast style just means that it's just really hoppy and dry and subtle malt. Which, after drinking about half a can of it so far, or half a glass of it, since we don't drink out of the cans,
right?
It tastes just like that. It's a kind of a piney, hoppy, citrusy flavoring is what I'm picking up on it.
Well, cheers to that, and
cheers.
Let's keep drinking this down. See if we can't get to our next beer.
Mm-hmm.
Ballast Point, they are on point for all their beer.
I see what you did there. Very nice. So this topic, last week. When Grant asked us what we were doing this week, I said to him that I'd like to talk about the Baltic Sea anomaly. And the more I looked into it, even though it's still very interesting to me, it was a topic that we couldn't really go very far with. It was something that we would have not been able to fill the time of the podcast with. So I decided what would be a good topic that would be more broad, and I came up with things that science can't explain, because that's one of the things that science can't really explain, this little anomaly. There's theories on it, but they just really can't explain it. So I posed that to Britt and said, hey, what do you think about a topic of just opening it up for things that science can't explain? Just open it up.
I liked it. I thought it was a great idea.
Yeah. So Britt immediately sent me like 5 different topics.
I was ready to go, Brian.
I know you were. You knocked it. Yeah, and I got like 10 of them. So if we run it through them all, then great. If not, actually the last 2 topics I didn't even do any research on, but we'll just kind of go from there. So do you want me to start again like we did last time, or do you just want to just roll it?
Yeah, let's just go.
Okay,
with your first one.
Yeah, so the first one that I thought that was pretty interesting was why cows face north or south while they're eating. And this came from a study that was done on grazing habits by Czech and German scientists. And they were using satellite images, probably from, the big boy that rhymes with oogle.
Oh, yeah, that one.
But they found that when cows were eating, and actually deer too, but when they were eating, they about 70% or so tended to face north or south. And there's no real clear explanation as to why. There's a bunch of different theories. Britt, you had one. What was the one that?
They didn't like standing in the wind.
That's valid, but if
maybe the way the grass grows, since the wind pushes it that way, they had to face north or south.
Not only is the grass greener on the other side of the fence, but apparently it's on the north or south.
Nice.
The theory that I heard was that they use magnetoreception, which is something similar to what birds do when they fly south for the winter, how do they know what direction south is without using a GPS or an iPhone or a TomTom or whatever? But they actually have these little receptors in them, and birds actually have them in their eyes too.
You said they see like radio waves?
They say magnetic waves.
Magnetic waves.
Yeah, they see which is be crazy to see that. So
I feel like there's something in my eye. They were like, Terry, you're just a bird. Stop that.
Yeah. So it's probably something along those lines. All animals have it. Even we have magnetoreception. It's just we don't really use that function very much. And some people may, but the vast majority of us don't. And the magnetoreception, the definition is that the ability to detect and navigate by magnetic fields. So they're actually seeing the magnetic field, or birds do anyway. The cows, they probably have little receptors in them that probably just points them in the right direction, but not really. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
I'm not a scientist.
Haven't done full studies. And probably why this can't be explained. Oh, and
should have had a scientist
we
on here.
did invite a scientist, but we'll give him a little shout out. But Ted,
wish you could have been here.
Yeah,
could have maybe solved some of this, and then you could have gotten a Nobel Peace Prize or something.
I know him as Nick. But he goes by Ted, so he's actually a science teacher.
Doesn't make any sense at all.
Well, it's his. I think it's Theodore Nicholas.
Oh, gotcha. Middle name, side name, gotcha.
Yep. But growing up, like he went by Nick, and now he goes by Ted. So, but
nice.
That's whatever. You want to change your name? Change your name. Yeah. Whatever. I don't care.
Whatever you want to do.
Do whatever you want to do. So that was it for that topic. Since we have like 15 of these, I think we only need to spend
a few minutes on each. No worries.
Yeah. So.
Because we're only like 7 minutes in now.
I know.
Even though it feels like we've been more because we had to restart.
I know.
Restart.
We've really been about 30 minutes in.
I started to play the audio back to our track, and Brian said one, literally.
Repeatedly.
One for an hour. And I'm like, what? No, we need to restart all of this. Restart machine, restart everything.
Why don't you do one?
So, yeah.
Well, I nibble on some of this cheese.
What did I start? Oh, yeah. I said, why do we have different blood types? Which
is pretty interesting.
So, I mean, I get, like if you've got O negative, you can give anybody blood, and that's great.
And O positive is pretty open in there, too.
Exactly. But the question is, why? And I actually got with a science teacher over the weekend. We had Guyver had a little birthday party that he went to. Very fun group. Ellis was his name. He goes to school at the zoo with Guyver, and it was
so cool.
It was a tiki themed party. This guy made a tiki monster and put a fog machine in the bottom of it.
Nice.
He fogged out the whole living room, and they're sitting there opening presents, and I'm like, I can't see the kid. What's he getting? But whatever. They were having fun. They played limbo. They made a volcano cake, and he put dry ice in it, and they poured gelatin in there, and it overflowed with lava. Yeah,
that's
erupted.
Cool.
He walked. His mother is a costume designer for the Rose Theater, and so he was walking around as a volcano, like big pillowing poof of cotton, and then a volcano with little drips of lava coming off of it.
That's cool.
It was really cool. I was just like,
back to the talk here.
Anyway, so I was talking with their mother or her mother,
and she's a
school teacher, scientist.
Okay.
Yeah. And I posed to her that question. I said, what
does science have to say about this?
Yeah, why do we have different blood types? And she's like, well, people lived in different countries and Africa and all that stuff. And
but if we all come from a common ancestor.
Yeah, and they all spread out and went different ways, and different blood types work better in different scenarios, desert climates versus jungle climates and all that stuff. And I said, well, that's all and well, and that's fine, but I just don't get why we have different types. And she started to repeat that same thing back to me again. I was like, no, okay. Do animals have different blood types? Like, if I went to a giraffe and took its blood and went and took blood from a different giraffe, would they have the same type of blood? She's like, oh, I don't know. That's a good question.
That's a really good question.
So, if anybody knows the answer out there in live land, please text it in, because I've got this nice new app that I can see when you guys ask questions on here. So that's pretty awesome sauce.
I should mention, just looking at your screen now, that you are viewing us now from a different angle.
Oh, yeah.
Because we have a
different camera.
A different camera.
Yes.
That was our technical difficulty that we had with the camera.
Yeah, I might have taken it to work, and I might have left it there, but it'll be back next time.
And we'll have 2 cameras.
And then we'll have 2, and hopefully we can start working on this other program that we're working with and bounce between the 2.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
You can see me, and then you can see you.
Yeah.
So on and so forth.
Our bright shining faces.
Exactly. Well, it'd be cool to show everybody this big shelf back here, too.
Oh,
you know, the stuff that we've been drinking upon.
That we hide.
Exactly. Well, and part of me wants to clear that shelf off for next
season 2.
Yeah, you know, it's getting cluttered up there, and it would be really nice to start fresh and new.
Absolutely.
And plus, they're all empty, so you know. But it is a good reference point to go back to, like when I'm shopping for beers. I'm like, oh yeah,
yes,
no,
we
already
have.
had
No, we
that.
haven't.
Part of the, you know. But I really try to keep track in my brain of what we've been drinking on and what we haven't been drinking on. But yeah, as for blood types, boggles my mind. But
did you hear
we got them.
Did you hear the theory about the RH or RF? Can't remember if it's RF or RH.
Radio frequency?
No, it's a
RF.
It's apparently a blood type.
Oh,
which I thought it was just like
there's A, B, and O.
There's A, there's B, there's AB, and O.
A, B, and O. That's all I've heard.
Apparently, there's a lesser known. It's either RF or RH. I can't remember the name of it, but the theory is that is extraterrestrial.
Ooh. Interesting.
Yeah, and that's actually a blood type. Yeah. Those of you watching, go ahead and just do some research for us. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate that.
Yep.
Anyway.
On to the next.
Yeah, why not? Before I address them.
All right, so my next one, and I know I'll probably get some slack for this, but there is I know it's like...
That's truffle.
It's like saturated in truffle. And I like truffle sauce, but that's very, very truffle-y. But anyway, so this next one, science has a problem explaining gravity.
The Earth has no gravity. It just sucks.
It's one giant vacuum. We know, science knows what the interaction it has on various objects and all that. It understands that there is a force that does that, but we really don't know what causes it.
Well, you know, I would assume that there would be gravity in what we breathe. Hydrogen, you know. There's some type
I don't know.
There's some type of force.
There is.
You know, like, okay, so how do we get our oxygen? Off of trees and plants and grass and the ocean and, you know, all that working together in itself. And then we consume that and breathe that. So there's got to be some kind of weight to that.
Yeah, but that's not holding us down. I don't know. I don't think. I think it's what when I was doing research on this, there was
do you think we'd be alive if we didn't have gravity? We'd just be like floating around.
I know, but
good thing we do have it.
Yeah, it's a good thing we do have it, and a lot of you know, I remember when I was a kid, they tried to explain it like a centrifugal force. And if you've ever held like a bicycle tire when it's spinning or whatever, you can feel that force, and they said it's something similar to that. But the problem with that theory is centrifugal force throws things out. Like if you were to put like a bead on a bicycle tire line, or one of the lines in the bicycle tire, it would shoot out, not stay in. So that you know, if you think about it that way.
Yeah, because the Earth is rotating and all that stuff, and you'd think it would be propelled to go outward.
Right. So, just very interesting. One of the things that somebody had said on one of the websites that I read said it is the weakest of the everyday forces. So, everything that we experience throughout the day, it is the weakest force. I mean, it just holds us down. You pick something up, and it just drops. It doesn't just stay in the air. So, it's not really a big force. But, ultimately, in the universe at large, it is the strongest force in the universe. So you have these like hyperdense stars that have this ultra gravitational pull, and wormholes and black holes, and the Great Attractor, which is one of my next ones.
Yes.
So, but yeah, so I just thought that was interesting. Here on Earth, it's one of the weaker forces, but in the universe at large, it's one of the greater forces. Something else that so the theory about the moon. Think about this.
It's made of cheese?
It could be, with Gouda cheese or cheddar cheese. But
there's a face on it?
The theory is that it was like an asteroid that just caught in our gravitational pull and then just kind of got stuck there. But the thing is, like, if we have a gravitational pull, why is it not
getting closer and closer and closer?
Exactly. And it may. I don't know. It may be. Or maybe getting further away. Maybe our gravitational pull isn't as what we thought. But then if that's the case, why aren't we lighter? If our gravitational pull is going away.
You're blowing my mind.
These are the things I want to know. These are the things that kept me out of the really good schools.
Exactly. Speaking of black holes, though, what would happen if we...
I got a little bit more. Yeah, just a couple more things on gravity, and then you can have yours. So, did you know that gravity slows time?
Yeah.
So, like, if you have a clock tower and you have a wristwatch. So, if you're standing at the base of the clock tower and you have it completely... Your wristwatch is completely synchronized with the clock at the top of the tower. The clock at the top of the tower is going to run faster than it is at the bottom, than your wristwatch.
Because you're higher up in the air?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Gravity is... the force of gravity is higher on the ground.
So you're saying when I'm in a plane, I'm time traveling?
Yeah, actually, by the technical definition of it, you could probably by milliseconds or hundreds or millionths of a second. But yeah,
I'm a time traveler.
Well, yeah, they do say that people on the ISS are time traveling.
That makes sense.
Technically, they may be like a couple minutes off, but yeah. Anyway, your next one:
black holes.
Black holes.
Period.
Suck.
No, period. No, what would happen? Okay. So an asteroid goes flying into a black hole. Whatever. It's just an asteroid. Mm-hmm. We don't need that one anymore. But what if a human being actually went into one? Nobody knows yet. Nobody's done that yet.
And I know we've sent...
Where do black holes go?
Right. We've sent probes into them, but I don't know that we've really...
But once we've sent them into them, there's been no physical data recorded after we've sent them into them.
Exactly. So
it's a time warp. Or it's some kind of...
Let's do the time warp.
It's some kind of thing that makes you go from one side to the other side quickly.
Maybe. That'd be a wormhole. A black hole just is I think, from my understanding, a black hole is just like a hyperdense star that has collapsed in on itself, and it continues to collapse in on itself and creates this giant gravity pull.
Succubus.
That could be one explanation for it, yeah.
Okay. All right.
So
I like where it's up.
Yeah, if a human got sucked into it, they'd be going into like this infinitely smaller space because it's just collapsing in on itself. The wormholes take you from one place to the other, theoretically. Yes, theoretically. So, did you have any more on? Or are we just postulating that question? Because none of these really have an answer.
Nope.
So
we just want to get it out there for people to go. Thought you didn't know? Well, you still don't.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. This is the fun episode.
Yeah, I liked how you. I like your next choice of beer since we're talking.
I figured
space right now.
Yeah, the next choice of beer is Spaced.
Mm-hmm. Spaced IPA.
This is by Stillwater
Artisanal Ales.
Artisanal Ales.
Be careful how you. Yeah. Just look how it's spelled.
It's a low gravity beer,
which means it's also low alcohol content.
Mm-hmm. It's only a 3.8. So this is kind of a palate cleanser between this beer and the nice high-octane beer that we will have after this one.
And it comes to us from Maryland, is actually where Stillwater Artisanal Ales is located. It is an American-style IPA. Like Britt said, it's low gravity, which means there's just low sugar on the initial reading, or your OG, or original gravity. And it's American-style IPAs tend to be a little more hop-forward. And use American hops.
This says is brewed with spelt and wheat.
Yeah, spelt is really just a different type of wheat. It's called dinkel wheat, and
you said dinkle,
but it actually is like large kernel. Like if you look at the kernels,
sure.
They almost look like the almonds, a little bit smaller than white almonds. It's kind of what it looks like.
Sure. All right, I like how we're up and running now. I like it. Sweet.
Yeah, still continuing on.
Sometimes you don't know what you don't know till you know.
I'm going to crack this open, and then we'll get on to the next one, because I do have another. Were you done with your black hole talk? Or
well, I just... You see so many different movies out there, sci-fi movies. Interstellar, yeah.
He went into a black hole.
Yeah. So it just makes you wonder.
That got weird. That's when the movie... I mean, I dug that movie.
So since it's a star that's imploded on itself, and it is completely imploding on itself, you would assume that if someone would go into a black hole, they would die because they would be imploding on themselves.
Yeah, if it's... Especially if, like, the gravity is so intense there that it's slowing time to ridiculous amounts. And they actually said the science of Interstellar was very accurate when it came to the whole black hole thing. Like, after you enter it, that's when science gets fuzzy because they really don't know. So that whole being in the weird dimension that he was, that got weird. But
you're all right. No big deal.
It's that time of year where you got the allergies.
Yeah. Chemtrails. Sorry.
Oh, man.
Sorry. They've been doing it a lot lately here.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. There was... I came out from church this afternoon, and I had to see 40 streaks in the sky. Mm-hmm. And they didn't stop until... They're probably still doing it right now.
Maybe because it's getting colder.
I got to cover up that sun to make sure it's wintertime around here.
Moving on. Yeah. So no, from that aspect, I like the Interstellar, but if you think about how gravity, if it can affect time in such a manner that it's taking 50 years or whatever, it's like a huge adjustment. That pull is so great that when human bodies are very fragile. So if it were to enter one, it'd be
you assumed crushed, or ripped apart, or
I don't know about I was gonna say ripped apart, but then it's collapsing in on itself.
You know the same thing you do when you're done with a can and you put it on the ground and step on it.
Yeah,
kind of like that.
Yeah, probably what would happen. Maybe I
think we may have solved it.
That's solving the world's problems one drink at a time.
Right, we just did. Speaking of that,
yes, this is it's kind of
very light.
Yeah, very light, almost apple juicy. Light apple juice, like a Mott's apple juice.
Ooh, I like that. Kind of reminds me of not a Stiegel, not a Radler.
This to me has like a little bit of a tinny, like a metallic.
Yeah, a little metallic flavor, but
a little bit.
I've had that flavor before, and I just oh, you know what it is? What's the
that one?
This one. Prosciutto.
Oh, it's, to me, the prosciutto it's prosciutto. It's now you got me doing it.
Yeah,
pseudo.
It's a lighter one of those.
Okay,
that one's more intense. This would be like the Bud Light version of it.
The watered down version of it.
Yeah, the Bud Light version of it. That's what I would go for.
I'm going to be honest with you. Today I had a Bud Light. I had to hydrate, so that's I had one.
Last week I bought a 24-pack of Coors Light and a 24-pack of Bud Light because I thought the cousins were coming over. They didn't, and so not last week. It was 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. It was right after Thanksgiving. I spent the better part of a week choking those down. I did the Coors and Carly did the Bud Light, and I will say that I have never burped and farted and pooped.
I gotta say though,
as much as I did that week.
We kind of bash on those guys a lot, but have you had the Banquet, which is by Coors?
Mm-mm.
Banquet is actually one of the higher end beers that they have.
There's nothing to bash on them, Brian. Mm-hmm. Some people, that's just what they like, and and that's cool by me. But I like more flavor,
right?
And you like more flavor,
which is like I said a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about PBR, and I had a PBR that actually surprised me for a light beer. It had a lot of flavor.
PBR's great. We keep that on tap at the Hive.
Nice,
nice. I mean, it's a go-to beer.
All right, so
it was my go-to beer when I lived in Montana.
Oh. Well,
you could get a 24-pack of Pabst Blue Ribbon on top of a mountain, closest city an hour and 20 minutes away. You could get a 24-pack for $18.
Those Sherpas were not charging enough.
I'm like, they must have given the guy a ski pass just to deliver.
I don't know. Well, if they're going that direction, I don't know.
There's nothing beyond the mountain. you run into Yellowstone National Forest.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so there was nothing more.
Yeah. All right, are we moving on? We're getting back to the talk now.
Yeah.
Back on the talk. The next one I had was the. I don't know. I've heard it pronounced a couple different ways. I'm going to pronounce it the way I'm going to pronounce it. Antikythera mechanism.
Huh?
Have you heard about the Antikythera? And I actually have a picture for you if you don't know what it is.
Sure.
So there's the picture.
Oh, was that the thing that you said they found in a mine or something like that?
No, this is different. So, I mean, obviously you see...
It looks like a steering wheel, kind of? Or like a wheel?
Like a mechanism or of some sort, right?
Yeah, it looks like a machine of sorts.
There you go. All right. now you're tracking. All right.
Yeah.
So, and I just showed you the picture. You didn't know anything about it, right?
Yeah, it kind of looked like a machine.
Yeah. So, okay. So...
or like something that turns, you're like, oh...
Some people have kind of
feed the film in here, rotate.
Yeah, so some people have kind of debunked this one. They said it just really wasn't advanced for the time. So this was found in 1902 off the coast of Antikythera Island, which is in Greece, one of the Greek islands, in a shipwreck.
The Greek Isles.
But what was weird? They picked it up in 1902. It sat for about 2 years untouched in a museum in Athens because they didn't really know what to do with it, and it was believed to be just too complex for that period, so they just like shuffled it off. Excuse me.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until like 1951 that someone actually took interest in it, and it wasn't until like 1971 that they started testing it. Well, when they started testing it, they realized that it dates back to 60 to 205 BC.
Wow. So it's really old. That's
like
what you're saying.
Over 2,000 years old. You know,
okay.
Right? So what it's used for, though, they have kind of broken it apart. It's in like 85 different pieces, and they've kind of broken it apart, and they've figured out that it was used to track astronomical astronomical positions, like following the planets and the moon, predicting full moons.
So you said they found this on shore or in the water?
In a shipwreck.
In a shipwreck.
In a wooden box.
Gotcha.
So, and they've tested all that out, and it was the same date as the shipwreck, and they found the shipwreck was roughly around that same time, more closer to the the 60 BC time frame. So that's even the 60 to 205 BC. That's you're talking about 145 years or so. So that's still a pretty good dating, really, for 2,000 years ago. So
it's so weird that they know how to get dates off of.
I know. Well, I'm not a scientist.
This fossil is 65 million years old. You're like, how do you test the dust?
Mm-hmm. What they
how do you I don't get that.
I think it's the spectrometer, the whatever the. I think it has to do with they say carbon dating.
Recalibrate your machine,
so
there, sir.
A lot of it has to do with they say carbon dating. Well, carbon breaks down at a certain rate. So if you take the carbon off of something and it's broken down to a certain point, you can say, well, you can trace it back to the initial amount should have been this much, and then they can calculate how many years ago that was. That's how they do that.
Okay, that makes more sense.
What they actually call this Antikythera mechanism is the first analog computer built 2,000 years ago. And the people that debunk it say, well, they had that technology then it got lost, and then they refound it, or they found it again in the 14th century. So 1,400 years later, they found that technology. That to me seems a little odd that they lost the technology for 1,400 years.
Well, now for some reason my brain went to Hitler and burning all the books, getting rid of knowledge. So it's not so much.
I don't know that they were into that back then. I mean,
I'm not saying they were burning books. That's not what I'm saying. It was lost.
Well,
this guy died and his house was set on fire for some reason, and all of that knowledge that he was going to pass on to the next person all got lost.
Mm-hmm.
It lost in translation. That as well,
Yeah, possibly.
So it was always there. It just it was lost.
Okay, and could have been the thing. They had the technology 2,000 years ago, seems a little
we
weird.
have the technology.
Mm-hmm.
We can put him back together again.
But we don't want to spend a lot of money.
What was that from?
Family Guy.
Yeah. There we go.
Had like a trash can for a leg and a broomstick for an arm. Anyway, no, yeah, if you think about stuff 2,000 years ago, you don't think of mechanisms, like any machinery at all. You're thinking wooden ships that are like teeny.
Well, yeah, that and maybe like cannon bolts,
Trebuchets. But those were built out of wood. This was made out of metal.
Oh, okay. All right.
So
fair enough. Yeah, I don't
know. They were smelting back then. 2,000 years ago.
Yeah, swords.
Yeah, how old's the swords? I mean, I guess, did they have them? I mean, they had nails, obviously, 2,000 years ago.
I would assume that they would,
they did
especially
have,
the Chinese would know how to, like, samurai swords
Okay, so,
and stuff.
so they did have smelting techniques, and they could make swords. That's right, 2,000 years ago they did.
Yeah.
But to make gears and...
I mean, look at Princess Bride. No, I'm just kidding. That was 2,000 years ago.
It's a documentary, right?
It was.
You keep saying that word. I don't really think it means what you think it means. Anyway, that's all I had on that one. Whether, take it or believe it. If you actually want to look up...
believe it? Well, it's there. It's just
it's out there, yeah. If you actually want to look it up, it's spelled ANTI, so anti. Kytheria is spelled anti-Kytheria. It's all one word. ANTI. Kythera. Kind of what it sounds like. Anti-Kytheria.
Perfect.
Or Kythera, I should say. That's what I had for that one.
So why is the Fibonacci sequence found in nature?
Fibonacci sequence.
And what we're talking about, Fibonacci sequence, it's the seashell. It's the human body. It is... tree rings. It's everything increasing in size, doubling in numbers. It's found throughout nature, all over the place, and no one can describe it. Why does a seashell look like a seashell, and why does a human body look like a human body? You're looking it up?
I am.
Fibonacci sequence.
Yeah. So the Fibonacci sequence, it does create that like curly Q, like a semicolon,
like
kind
just
of
like
thing.
a seashell.
Yeah,
with the top of the seashell.
That's all I was.
Seashells bound to the seashore.
She sells seashells.
I couldn't even say it right the first time.
Well, maybe.
But yeah, I mean, why is there a spiraling effect created in this universe?
Well, I guess here's the thing: like tree rings. I get tree rings.
Oh, I get that. That's the growth of the tree per year and all that sort of stuff.
But those are also rings. Those are cyclical. Mm-hmm. But this is more of a...
And the rings get bigger and bigger and smaller and smaller and smaller as you go into the middle of the tree.
It's similar to the Fibonacci sequence, but the Fibonacci sequence is more starting at a point and getting like a curly Q out and larger and larger and larger.
Well, I was going with the ring thing.
Kind of like if you took... think about this. If you took like a white record... and it was spinning, and you put like a black marker and had it spinning, just drug it straight out, it would create like a like a little curly Q thing.
Yeah,
that's the Fibonacci.
Yep, correct. But why do we find it in nature? Is there a greater design? Is there a bigger person than we?
Many would argue that there is.
Would say that it is God and his finger of. Well, speaking of finger,
fingerprints. Why do we have fingerprints? That's a whole other one.
That's to tell people apart.
Yeah, we're still on Fibonacci sequence here.
But, it's different. Mm-hmm. Now you got me staring at my fingernails. I'm like, oh, this one's cut.
I was talking to my girls about that, and they were asking what we were talking about tonight. And I said, well, we're talking about things that science can't explain. They're like, well, what do you mean? So I named off some of them, and then I talked about fingerprints. And they're like, well, of course we have fingerprints. And I said, well, I'm not saying that we don't have fingerprints. I'm just saying, why do we have fingerprints? And they're like, well, because that makes you you. I'm like, you're right, but where else on your body do you have that?
Right, your eyeball.
Your eyeball yes. So your cornea and your eyeballs are all unique-ish, which is why there's a lot of retina displays that look at your eyeball and all that. But it's in very few places on the human body.
Noses? Wouldn't they be? I don't know.
There's different styles of noses, but I don't. Not look how intricate a fingerprint is.
I guess you could just go get a nose job and be like, haha, I'm Terry now.
Yeah, which is gonna suck for the new the iPhone 10.
Oh, I heard about that. That was actually kind of funny.
Yeah,
facial recognition.
Yeah,
like I don't know who you are.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why you have a passcode.
Mm-hmm. All right, so next one.
Sure. Yeah, I mean,
near-death experiences.
So we were talking about this over dinner time.
As you do,
as families do when they get together on Sundays, and if you're lucky enough to do that, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
I think near-death experiences have happen because when you have a near-death experience.
Maybe we should explain what that is real quick.
Yeah. So, like, let's just say you're coming onto a head-on collision. All of a sudden, you get this flash of your entire life, essentially,
right? Or out-of-body experience. Yeah. You physically see the crash happening above the car or something like that. Yeah. Or if you're in surgery, a lot of people say that they see loved ones. A lot of people say that they see a light and they go towards a light. So. That is what we're talking about with these NDEs, as the acronym is.
So, in that scenario, I think your brain is running at a higher rate of speed than it normally does.
Right, because things are shutting down.
It's shutting down, but you're also trying to
your body
process.
Is shutting.
Yeah, your body's shutting down, but you're also trying to process.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're...
neurons are firing, and
neurons are firing. Your blood's going different ways, more towards your head to keep your
brain going.
And so I think your brain just gets flooded with blood and oxygen, and you get into like a euphoric state almost.
Yeah.
And they say that when you can get into those states. I'm not one to try illegal drugs of that sense, but I've heard mushrooms and acid and things of that nature. I've heard that when people are on those, they
psychedelics.
Yeah, the psychedelics. I hear that you see other things that aren't there, and it takes you places that you would normally not go in your brain. And then they've actually taken pictures of that.
And your brain is firing. It's going.
Yeah, like normally there's some red here and some red here, but like when you're on those drugs, your brain's like all red, and they're like, "Whoa, no, you're going 1,000 miles an hour." Same thing I would think with near-death experiences is your brain is just can't comprehend all of that what's going on, and you start having these flashbacks or this out-of-body experience, and it's like almost your brain being on drugs.
And I would say that there's a lot of those near-death experiences that could be explained away. But there's some of them, and I don't know if you've ever read the book. What was the Heaven is for Real? It was also a movie.
I've heard, heard of it, but I've never read it.
So in it, actually that family's from Nebraska here.
Oh, go figure.
So this little boy ends up dying in the hospital, and then coming back. They actually revive him, but during that time that he was legally dead, or clinically or medical, I don't know, whatever the term was, he saw things that they can't explain. And some of them, they're like, well, he saw heaven and all that stuff. And I'm not going to get into a religious debate on this show right now and all that, but there were things that he saw that actually happened. Like he said that he saw his father praying in the chapel and all that, and which he did. Like he was specific on things that he saw when he was on the operating table, supposedly dead. And there were things happening in the hospital, and he saw these things, and he was explaining them in great detail. How do you explain that? I mean, if it's just like random firings in your neurons.
People say use your third eye,
We are all connected.
And we're all connected.
Yep.
What did they use the term? What was that movie with the blue characters?
Avatar.
Avatar. One now? What was I can't what it was called, the one connection for everything. I'm like,
I see you.
Now is not the term.
You mean the Mother Earth kind of?
Yeah, everything's connected.
Yeah,
all roots are connected.
Yeah, they are.
You're from the earth.
Yeah, the largest organism on Earth is a tree grove.
Yes. Wane? Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever. Whatever it is. Anyway. So Gaia.
Well, that's like what we call Gaia.
Yes. There you go.
Yeah.
Perfect. So we're all connected, and that's when we have a near-death experience. Blood rushes to your brain, and hey, see, we're solving things here. I think we're figuring it out.
Kind of.
These are all theories.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right, Britt, you're up.
I am up. I totally didn't bring my notes with me, so I'm just trying to recall the things that I sent you, and I.
Oh, okay. I can bring that up real quick.
Yeah, sorry, I've got my live video going on right now.
You're preoccupied with other things. That's all right.
I got video here. I got audio there. I've got my laser beam power over here. You'd increase that to 500.
Yeah. Why is being right-handed the norm?
Yes. Why is right-handed being the norm? And Pops was talking about, he's like, well, he goes, I think I could explain that one. He goes, it's just your upbringing, you know.
And there's lots of...
I think you were saying something about your daughter.
Yeah.
So she's left-handed?
Yeah, our youngest is left-handed. You can see it, because when she's writing with her right hand...
It just looks weird.
It's weird. Yeah, it's not natural. It's weird.
So... I'm ambidextrous, and
you're not amphibious? Sorry, that's an old family joke.
I'm ambidextrous only for the sheer fact that I've had 6 broken arms, 3 and 3, and so I've adapted and I've learned to use my other hand to do other things, and so it's weird. Yeah, sometimes I'm cutting with my right, sometimes I'm cutting with my left. Sometimes I'll take a note with my right, sometimes I'll take a note with my left. I just, both things feel comfortable to me. So
can you write like 2 different sentences, one with one right?
No.
Like Leonardo da Vinci used to be able to do?
I can't do that because I have to be focused on one or the other.
Can you rub your belly and pat your head at the same time?
Yes, I can do that.
All
yes. So I think it was just, it's your upbringing. It's how your mom and dad taught you how to hold the pencil, or your teacher taught you how to hold the pencil. I think
people would say, but why? Why the right? Why did they choose the right hand? Because they had to pick one, is what I'm going to go with.
Right, they had to pick one. Yeah, because, I mean, there are more right-handed people in the world than there are left. There is, period.
Yeah, because nowadays there are a lot, which is funny because my daughter was left-handed, but they taught her to do right-handed, even though there are left-handed people in the world. So maybe at some point she'll switch. I don't know.
Well, let's just say this. When you're writing on a piece of paper, your first letter is A, and then your next letter you scoot to the right, and you say B.
Oh, yeah. And you're dragging over
D, E, right? Well, if I'm writing with my left hand, I go A, B, and as soon as I write C, A goes away because my hand's in the way.
Yep.
And so you wouldn't be able to see the full word printed out on a piece of paper.
That's true. Now,
Boom.
Yeah. That's a very good point.
Yeah.
Which is why you see a lot of people that are left-handed right.
Oh, yeah.
Where they can kind of see.
Which I don't.
So they're not dragging them
the same
across.
way, like this.
Mm-hmm. Well done.
Yeah.
All right, next.
Keep them coming. Some more beers, and I think we've got all these ones solved. Well, you're up next.
Yep. Why do we yawn?
Well, people would say
there's a lot of theories out there.
A lack of oxygen to the brain, and when you yawn, you get oxygen.
Or your body, yeah.
That's
the original theory. The one they have now is that it has to do with the temperature of your brain. That when your brain overheats, it needs a little more. And it's actually contagious.
I was just thinking, if I yawned, I was just waiting to see if you'd yawn.
Yep. So apparently that's a sign of sociopathy. So apparently I'm a psychopath. Because no, it has actually been, science has proven that yawns are contagious. You can actually watch a video of somebody yawning
and yawn.
They say it has something to do with our empathy.
Well, that's why you're at work and somebody yawns and you're like, quit that, and then all of a sudden you're yawning. You're like, oh my gosh, I just told you to quit that, and here I am doing it myself.
There are things that you can do to stem off yawning by like taking deep breaths, or just like stand up, get moving around, and all that stuff. That'll stem off a yawn.
I find that I yawn more when I'm just standing there doing nothing. I can't say that that I've ever been walking around, or working. I can't say working on a project. I'm sure I've worked on a project and yawned, but if I'm actually just like walking around, I can't say that I've walked around and yawned at the same time.
That is another theory, that your brain's just getting bored.
Yeah.
So that's why it yawns. But why? I mean, like if your brain's bored, it's like, hey, let's do something. I know. Let's just inhale a bunch of oxygen.
Yeah, you got me yawning. Jeez, Brian. Quit talking about
just
yawning.
even talking about it makes you yawn.
Right?
Well, you're not a sociopath, so hey, there you go. Congratulations.
Apparently not. I'm not a sociopath.
Yep. You are next on the next. I mean, we just kind of buzzed through that one real quick.
We did kind of buzz through yawning, but
I didn't do any research on like the technical, what actually happened. I mean, you're inhaling a bunch of oxygen when you yawn, but I didn't really get into the mechanics of it. Everybody knows how to yawn. They do it all the time.
Well, I've done 4. There's one left in my list of things.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
you don't remember what the last one is?
No, Brian. Like I said, we kind of pieced this show together on this one, but it's all right.
Why do we dream?
The dream.
The dream sequence, which kind of went along with the near-death experience of NDEs. With your brain firing. There's a lot.
Why do we have such weird dreams? And with that said, what was it? Matrix, that they were like, if you know you're dreaming, then you could do other things.
Yeah, if you're like, if you wake up in your dream or something like that.
Yeah, if you do this one thing in your dream, you can be like, oh no, I'm dreaming, and then just like step out and do whatever you want to do, fly around.
That'd be fun. Some say that
Requiem for a Dream. I think that's what it was.
Oh, nice. Some say that it's just like your brain's way of processing the day, which is why it gets a little weird, because it's just like filling in the gap kind of thing.
Well, and you can go out and buy books about dreaming,
what dreams mean, and all that.
I have had dreams where I'm eating something and my teeth turn into, I start eating my own teeth. Like I'm eating.
That's weird.
I'm eating, and then I'm like, oh, my teeth's chipping away, and I feel like I'm choking on my teeth. And they say in these books that you're going to come into some money, and I'm like, sweet, bring it on.
I'll eat my teeth all day long.
Exactly.
Have you ever had a dream more than once?
Yeah. I can't say that I've had reoccurring dreams, but I have had a dream or two happen a couple of times, but it's not like, I've dreamt that 9 times this week,
Oh, there's one dream I've had since
9 times, like I'm sleeping every day. Like
I take 9 naps. I have the same dream every time. I've had the same dream like since I was a kid. I don't really. It's not that I don't dream anymore. It's just I don't really get a lot of sleep nowadays. So I don't really hit the REM sleep that's necessary to stimulate dreams or remember them. So I don't remember them. That's a better way of saying it.
You didn't say REM, you just said REM, like as in the musical
There's
group.
me standing in the corner. Anyway, but when I do dream, there are...
I want to put that song on right now.
I end up... There's a dream that I've had, and it's the same dream that I've had since I was a little kid. And I'm
Let me hear it. I don't know if I've heard this before.
I'm flying through this... So it's almost like a tunnel, but it's made of stars. So like you're flying in space, but without like a ship. So it's just like you flying through space.
So first thing that comes to mind is the haunted house downtown.
There was a, and I can't remember
Mystery
the
Manor with the tunnel that spins.
This is more like a.
Like you're flying through space.
Like the visual, okay, so like a visual, like in sci-fi movies when a starship like hits light speed, and there's that like
gotcha.
Tunnel that they create or whatever, kind of something similar to that.
They're traveling at 30 miles an hour, so they'll be there in 7 billion light years.
Oh man, that was a great
Mystery
movie.
Science Theater 3000.
The movie.
The movie.
Yeah, that was great. So I'm flying through this field, and then at the end of it, there is a dark spot at the end of this light tunnel, because it is a light tunnel, and it's all neon green. The stars are all neon green, and I get to the end of the tunnel, and there's an object. Now the object changes from dream to dream, but this whole thing is the exact same thing. And I fly up to this object, and it's all the same color, and sometimes it's a face, sometimes it's maybe something that I'll see later on, which is kind of cool. But I just end up flying around it and in it and all that, and then the dream ends. So it ends up being like a 2-minute dream or so, 2 to 5 minute dream. So that's something I've had since I was a kid.
Huh.
And it's
I did not know this.
I actually have it like, you know, that point where you're not awake but you're not asleep.
Yes, I have that all the time. I'm like,
that's when I have it.
I'm sitting there in my bed, and I'm like, I'm not going to open up my eyeballs, but then I'm like, I can't open my eyeballs because I'm not awake yet. But I'm laying there knowing that I'm sleeping.
You open up your eyeballs? I open up my eyelids.
Shut your mouth. You know what I'm talking about.
Like a mouth on your eyeball?
Finish that 3-2 beer up. That's literally what this is, 3-2 beer. But I will have to say it's one of my 3-2 beer I could get behind because that's actually pretty decent.
It's pretty flavorful for a 3-2 beer.
You know, some people like to drink because of the flavor, and some people like to drink to get drunk. If you're going for flavoring, it's got some mad flavor. It's got good stuff.
Yeah, and you don't want to get too tipsy. 3-2 beer.
Yeah, if you want to go over to a friend's house and drink,
well, they're drinking Bud Light.
Yeah, drink for drink with them, and they're drinking Bud Light.
Ooh.
You bring this, and you're like, hey, not bad.
I really like the color of this one. It's like
this is
amber.
a local. This is Scriptown.
Mm-hmm.
They're out of somewhere here in Nebraska.
What's the name of this one?
It's the beer is Scriptown. That's who makes it. This is called the Yotus.
Oh, I didn't have this one on the list.
You didn't have it on the list.
No,
no,
you didn't send me the picture.
I kind of just pulled this out of the Crowler.
Hey. And what is a Crowler, Britt?
It's 32 ounces. It's not 64.
It's not a can growler.
It's a can. It's a growler. It's a
Crowler.
And like we said on the last episode, when we were drinking Backswing, I love the breweries that can get behind making Crowlers. Now, Beertopia, where I bought all this beer, they have a Crowler machine, and they always have 4 or 5 beers on tap. More bars need to start doing this, you know? Last call for alcohol. Hey, I'll take a Crowler. I just like 2 more. When I leave here, I really just want 1 more. But
you just need to stock paper bags so you can put that in a paper bag. It's like the 40s.
I carried this out of the store in a box.
No, I meant like you drinking in public.
Drinking in public, yes. I'm just saying I would, after a night of going out and having fun, going to the bar and all that stuff, when you come home, you kind of have to decompress from all of that, especially when you go to
all the days
crazy nights that I have DJing and all that stuff. I come home after DJing and I want a beer. You know, I want to decompress my body. I'm jacked up on Red Bull still, you know, and it's just like
all hopped up on Red Bull.
Exactly. Well, yeah, like I get done DJing at 2:30. Sometimes I'll even go till 3. I'll be playing to the waiters, waitresses, and bartenders and all that stuff. Just hanging out. I get to have an after work beer, which is kind of nice, you know. After I get done DJing, I get to have a after work beer or 2. But then I come home and it's just like, okay, I'm finally home. I'm not
get your feet up.
Yeah, I put my feet up. I'm like, geez, I've just been standing all night, jamming out to loud music. And I got to decompress. And it would be so cool if bars could get behind just having a Crowler machine.
More and more are.
And I get last call for alcohol. I'll be like, hey, you sell packaged liquor?
Mm-hmm.
They're like, yeah, if you want a 6-pack. I don't need a 6-pack. No. You know, some people do.
Mm-hmm.
Some people do. But if I could just have 1 or 2 more. That's all I want.
And that's what a Crowler is. Crowler's 2 more.
Just 1 or 2 more.
I will say, I do want to give, I know this is Scriptown, but I want to give a little shout out to Pint 9. They're actually offering a special on their Crowlers. Special. Christmas special. If you buy 3 of them, you get a discount on that. And
buy 3, get 1 free. No, don't. I'm not going to say that.
No, it's. I want to say it's a few dollars off or $5 off or something like that on 3. But then you get a free pint glass.
Wow, that's actually awesome. And there's a Pint 9 pint glass in there somewhere.
And we have the sticker right there.
Right,
so,
right where?
Right there, which you can't see from the camera because the camera's on a different angle.
Yeah. Hey, but I've got my new light in the thing, which we didn't talk about.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to big shout out to my buddy Brant, who is a toy dealer. He got me this light. It has a green light, and on the green light it says bars open. It's a yellow light. It says last call, and then a red light that says bars closed. It's a 3-sided thing. It's made out of metal.
Britt, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
Yeah, exactly. It was made back in the 1950s, and he actually
metal.
He bought it off of a guy. You know, it was like, hey, you could probably turn around and sell this for whatever. And I'm his buddy, you know. And I was like, hey, what would you sell this thing for? I give you like $100 for it. He's like, Britt, for you, it's like $45. I'm like, cool, $45.
I'd totally do it for $100.
I'm like, $45. I'll buy that for $45. And then it's sitting there on his table, and we're chit chatting about some more stuff. And he's like, oh, that's 3-sided. I'm like, well, you sold it to me, man. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's 3-sided. He's like, I'll buy that back right now for $100. I'm like, no, you sold this, man. You sold this. But I knew the exact place to put it.
Yeah, we're getting way off. We're getting way off on the tangent here.
That's
Britt.
what we do. That's what we do.
We're gonna get back to the beer.
Cheers,
Scriptown, which is down in the down by UNMC, the Scriptown in the Blackstone district.
Yep, local beer.
Mm-hmm. That's so nice. That is good. That's very flavorful.
6.7. Man,
that's got like a really like a crisp malty hop flavor to it. It's kind of an amber, so it's a little more malty. I like it.
I'm trying to think of what it reminds me of.
I like to say I like it.
Well, I've it reminds me of the Yotus because I've had the Yotus before.
What is
question
this called? Is
Yotus.
It's Yotus. Could you spell that one for us?
Yotus. Yotus.
Is there alcohol content on this?
6.7.
Better than the 3.2.
Yeah, double times percentage 0.1 more.
Nice. No, I dig this one. And actually, Scriptown's a fun place to go. Blackstone District.
I've never been there.
The Blackstone District, or
well, yeah, I've been to the Black District.
Blackstone
District.
The
Black District. Sorry, I came off way wrong.
No, they got a good. There's good pizza place down there.
Oh yeah, the pizza place. One of my buddies, Wavy Davy, works down there.
We had the party at the Corkscrew in the the family party down there.
There's a little a place that serves little tiny dishes there as well. I can't think of the name of that.
Micro dishes.
I don't know that.
Anyway, should we get back to the
tapestry cooking? I don't know. Tappin cooking.
That's using the sticks to cook the. That's like what's the name of that place? What's the name of that song?
Kobe Steakhouse.
No. I was thinking of the one where you go in the buffet and you pick up the noodles and your meat and all that stuff. And they put it on this giant round.
Oh yeah, the Mongolian grill.
Yeah, but there's another one too.
Who hot?
There it is. That's it.
Who
hot?
Who hot?
Yeah. I hot. Anyway, is it my turn?
Sure. I mean, I was trying to finish up on this lovely, neat
right.
little light here.
Go on your tangent about the light.
Well, anyway, no. It
is cool. It's metal. I like that.
It's metal. It's 1950.
Don't piss off your wife. She will. This is a good handle to crack.
I brought it home, and my wife's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Well, it's
going in the bar.
Going in the bar."
She's like,
"She's like, oh, you should totally give that to Jake." And I'm like,
I'm keeping it in the bar.
Absolutely not.
Which kind of outdoes
I just bought that, and B, that's a relic of old time.
Well, and so the old gas pump that we had in here.
Yeah.
But that was plastic.
Yep.
Now it looked like something from the 40s.
I actually won that in a
that one I gave to you, the gas tank.
The gas tank.
Yeah,
that one you gave to me.
I gave that one to you.
I'm thinking of something else then.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm thinking of something else. You gave me that one?
I gave you that.
Thanks, bro. I've had a lot of good use out of that.
Well, good.
For some reason, I thought I got that from something else.
I bought it, and I never used it, and I gave it to you. And
I've had 2 of those. That's my second one.
Okay.
That's what it is. Bubs and Kristen had a ugly sweater Christmas party. And you bring a gift, and all the couples that wanted to participate would bring a gift, and we did the gift exchange. You go first, you go second, third, you draw, and then you pick the present, but you don't get to open it. You just look at the size of the boxes and stuff. And I got one of those, but I think I thoroughly used it, and then you were like, no, hey, I got this one here, and I'm like, oh, sweet, I'll take that.
Yeah.
I totally forgot you gave me that one.
Yep. That's okay.
It's all right.
I still love you.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Yotus, Scriptown, grab it. It's good.
It is good.
Right now at Beertopia.
And
you
I
can get it in a Crowler.
Enjoy drinking local.
Oh, so good.
Mm-hmm.
And love the color.
Yep, it's very clean. So they obviously
very
filter.
golden, very golden.
Yeah, it's not quite an amber. It's more of a golden. No, it's darker than a golden. It's between a golden and an amber. I like it. More, please.
So far, the best one.
Yeah.
So far. I mean, don't get me wrong.
That's because it's local, Britt. That's why.
The ballast was good. The space was kind of weak sauce. But, I mean, if you're going for weak sauce, this is the top notch of weak sauce.
Was there a tie-in? Because you did, like, a lot of the names of these. You tried to tie in.
No, this one was, I saw Scriptown, and I'm like, yoink.
Gotta get you. All right. Well, that's cool.
Make sure we get some of that.
So, I guess the next topic I will throw out there. Placebo effect.
That's where you take pills and then they slide in
sugar pills.
Then they slide in sugar pills and it does the same effect.
Yeah,
as the real thing.
The technical definition of a placebo is a fake medical treatment, also known as a sugar pill.
So
that was a long sigh of relief.
So you have this idea of you're taking this pill to relieve something.
Mm-hmm. It's a kind of a mind over matter situation.
Right. So you take this pill and you go, this pill is supposed to solve the problem.
Right.
And so
at least that's what the doctor says.
The first 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever you take are the real thing, is what you're telling me.
No.
You think it's just always placebo?
Yeah. So there have been studies.
I always thought they started them with the placebo and then...
You mean the actual medicine? And
the actual medicine, then
switched them over? They could, and they've probably done those in trials, but there have been times where they actually do studies where the control group actually has the medicine, and then they give the placebo to the other people, and they experience good medical outcomes.
Yeah.
And then they're told, you were just getting a placebo. And they're like, okay, can we get it back?
Yeah,
still?
Can we get some more?
They know it's fake now, but they still want it over the medicine, which is interesting. And I think that has...
my mind just jumped to 12 monkeys.
Oh, wow. But that's... I don't know why, but I mean, yeah, that's a crazy...
Well, they did the whole placebo thing with 12 Monkeys as well. Brad Pitt was like, these pills are just candy. And he's all like, whatever, I don't even need them. I'm like, and then he was crazy.
It's been a lot. That was a crazy movie.
That was an awesome
movie. Yeah. I haven't thought of that. So, yeah. Wow. Anyway, they've been using placebos to treat depression and pain, sleep disorders, IBS. If you don't know what that is, you probably don't have it.
Good thing you don't have it.
Yep. Menopause, even asthma. But with asthma, it wasn't. It didn't make you breathe better, but like there was relief from.
But one cannot take a placebo for cancer. One cannot take a placebo for...
Why not?
Diabetic?
Why not?
Well, it's not going to make it go away.
Makes pain go away.
Okay. All right.
Makes IBS go away.
Okay. Well, that's just...
Cancer, I mean, that's a whole...
different kind of pain.
And I'm a firm believer in the mind-body connection. And I love... the mindfulness where you like feel your body using your mind. Kind of, I mean, that's a weird way of saying it, but
no, I like how you said that.
Excuse me. We're going back to that. Yeah.
I'll bring it up again.
So I think that there's something to it. The mind-body connection is something that it's been going on in Asia for a long time. They know about the mind-body connection, and we're just now tapping into it with yoga and breathing techniques and meditation and mindfulness. And I'm a big believer in it because I do notice positive results from that. And if I can do that without taking a placebo, where it's just me thinking of stuff in my body, yeah, taking a pill and saying, oh, this is going to help me, whether it actually does or not, is immaterial because now my brain thinks that it is, and it says that it is, so it does it. So it's kind of like a catalyst almost.
I'm glad you said yoga because if I didn't major in college in like theatrical arts or lighting design, sound design, all that stuff, I totally would have gone for yoga. You know, mind, body, spirit, one. Oh.
I never got into yoga. I love stretching because, like before workouts and all that.
I think it's peaceful.
It is.
I'd take a nap.
Have you actually? Well, I don't know. Have you done some of these yoga poses, man? They're
yeah.
Whew. Yeah.
I know a gal that
they're not all downward dog.
Yeah, I know a gal that frequents the Hive from time to time, and she's all about doing the yoga stuff and all that stuff. And I've seen her like one-footed on top of another human being and like balance pose. I'm like, wow, I would totally fall.
Yeah, not gonna
do that.
Not gonna. Yeah.
Good for you.
Yep.
Good job on that yoga.
All right, next one. We need to run through these.
Now it's all you because I've ran through
you're
5 that I came up with.
Well, what are we doing for time? Because I forget what time we actually started.
No big deal. We're an hour in.
Okay.
Yeah. Doing fine.
This one's interesting to me. This was really interesting. Of all the ones that I picked that I found interesting, this one seems to a little more. Why is the atmosphere of the sun hotter than the surface?
Okay, wait. The outside of the
atmosphere of the sun.
Could it be a chain reaction with space?
Possibly, but we're talking. Okay, so the surface. Let's go back to the technical stuff here. So the surface of the sun is a little over 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit, so about 5,600 degrees Celsius. For you, everybody else in the world, only.
So you're saying it whips off of the sun hotter.
Oh, give me a minute here.
I'm putting it.
It's the atmosphere. So, picture the
child terms is what I'm going at.
Oh, explain it like in 5.
Yeah.
The Earth. Okay. The clouds are 300 times hotter than the dirt.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So the atmosphere where we're at.
No, we're on the surface. We're on the surface.
That's fine.
Okay.
So where we're at. We're on the ground and it's hot. Okay, I get that.
It's 10,000 degrees.
When you go up into the air on Earth, you've got the reflection.
It's colder.
You've got the well, yeah. I was gonna say you get the reflection of bodies of water, and I'm like the sun with the brightness of it,
which is weird to me. So, okay, you go up in a plane.
I don't know if I can solve this one.
That's right. So you go up in a plane, and I'm sure if we had Tony here, he could tell you. You go up in a plane, you go above the clouds, it gets really, really cold.
Absolutely.
Super cold.
The higher you go, the colder you get.
Which is interesting when you think about that. So here on Earth,
you think you'd be closer to the sun, so it'd be hotter.
Exactly. Sun rays are filtered through the clouds and the whole atmosphere, and by the time it gets to us,
we're gonna revisit flat Earth.
So what?
Which we haven't even touched on.
Okay. Yet. So yeah, so I talked about the surface of the sun, the temperature of the surface of the sun. Atmosphere of the sun is 27 million degrees.
Okay,
Fahrenheit.
hold on. Is somebody pointing one of those laser things at it and getting that? Like, who...
Probes. They have probes.
You would think the probe would burn up before it got to its destination.
Made of adamantium. No, I don't know.
Adamantium?
Adamantium. That's what...
It's like the Animaniacs thing?
No, that's what Wolverine's made of. Adamantium. Anyway, but I was joking.
I figured you were joking. But I'm just saying, a probe, I don't think... You know those temperature gauges that you put in your grill to measure your burger or whatnot? I don't think they have one to measure the sun.
Or long enough.
Or long enough to measure the sun.
Gosh, we keep throwing this out there.
I'm just saying, I think they might be taking a wild guess on the...
swag method there. But anyway, I mean, they're talking... It's 300 times difference is what they're talking about. That's a huge difference. 10,000 degrees on the surface, 27 million degrees.
Brian, I've just figured it out. Heat rises.
Done and done.
Done and done. Heat rises.
Yeah, but it's going into space, man.
I'm just saying. I think I got it.
Yeah.
I think I got it.
The theory is
It just came to me.
Yeah. So the theory is the coronal ejections, that they talk about where it like spews out. That's what's heating up the atmosphere. That's the theory, anyway.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. Solar flares.
Yeah, the coronal ejections is the technical term of it. Yes, but yes, solar flares.
Ejections.
What is that?
You get an ejection. You get an ejection. No, just kidding.
Yeah, I went a little more perverted.
Well, yeah. Hey-o.
Anyway, all right. Next one. Moving on from that.
Right.
One.
No,
Yeah.
I think it's great. We spent about 5 minutes on each one of these. It's great. And I know you've got probably 5 more, huh?
This is the one that you read and you were trying to pronounce it. The Klerksdorp spheres. Klerksdorp spheres.
Clerks with an S. Clerks, storks.
Yeah, spelled with a C.
Dorks.
K. Sorry, Klerk. Clerk, Storp.
Storp. STORP.
Dorp. DORP.
Dorp. Clerks, Dorp.
Clerks, Dorp. Spheres.
All right, cool. Say that 5 times fast.
Now that we got it. All right. These are objects that were collected by miners. And Britt and I were talking about this earlier. It's like, what are these little spheres? I'm going to show you the picture.
Perfect. You and your stuff. Oh, yeah. It looks like bocce ball.
Right?
Holla.
Right?
Bocce ball.
The theory
Swedish game, yeah, the bocce ball.
The theory that scientists are saying is that it's naturally formed.
They just lost their bocce ball. That's all it was.
They lost their bocce ball, 3 billion years ago.
They loved the Vikings. They loved the Swedish.
Vikings are not 3 billion years old.
They get around.
Yeah. So, they were found in mines in South
their
Africa.
Blood type would... No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, jeez. Or is it RF or RH or whatever? So these miners in South Africa, they ended up going into these deposits that date back to 3 billion years, and they found these objects in there. They now call the Klerksdorp spheres. I'm guessing that's the name of the mine, which was a terrible name for a mine. And a mine is a terrible thing to waste. It's funny because it's punny. I said scientists said that they're natural, formed by natural processes and rubbing on rocks and turning and all that stuff. But legend has it that they were manufactured by intelligent beings. I mean, if you're going down in a mine where everything else is 3 billion years old, and you find these, they're not perfectly sphere, but they're pretty darn close to a sphere. And there's other ones, like this isn't the only one. Like there's other ones that are like flat.
So the designer of bocce ball actually has these in them, and I think it's more to distinguish whose balls are whose. But I would assume that by putting those type of not rivets, a little wave formation pattern in them, would add like
etchings.
Etchings would add a resistance to the ball. So when you're playing the game, there's a slight resistance to it.
You're going with the bocce ball theory,
I'm just saying it.
That's fine.
It could just be a game that was created millions and millions of years ago.
By who? Pterodactyls?
Maybe the birds like to throw stones.
It can't be the T-Rex because he has small arms. He can't really throw anything.
A cat likes taking a ball and
Britt, this is 3 billion years old.
I'm just saying, a cat likes to take a ball and roll it around, right?
Yeah.
Chase after it and all that stuff. Whatever animal could have created this sort of thing?
What was around 3 billion years ago?
Oh, seaweed.
Yes.
Something.
Wrap them in seaweed. Just. All right, we're gonna move on from there.
Perfect.
All right. The Great Attractor.
Is that that's not the magnetic field?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
So,
right.
yeah.
Fill me in.
So, this is a gravitational anomaly this is the technical definition of it. The gravitational anomaly in intergalactic space at the center of the Linaca supercluster that reveals the existence of localized concentration of mass tens of thousands of times more massive than the Milky Way.
Okay. Huh?
Let me break that down for you.
Huh?
Okay, you know the Milky Way, right? Not
Yes.
the candy bar, but actually where
Galaxy.
we live. Yes, the Yes, Milky Way galaxy. Yes, not the
Not the bar
not
that
the
you
bar.
eat. The
Not
bar.
not the bars.
Box.
Galaxy. So this is a hyperdense little mass that is tens of thousands of times more massive than the Milky Way. And the gravitational pull on it is actually pulling things towards it. The theory is that everything seems to be moving towards it. It's loaded. The interesting thing, the zone that it's located in. Now, if you're talking about the observable universe, the zone that it's in is called the zone of avoidance. Don't go there.
Yeah.
Where do
Avoid that.
Where do you post that sign? I mean,
Yeah, right.
honestly,
Do not enter.
yeah, it's no joke. The zone of avoidance. The problem is they can't really see through it because of all the gas and dust. But there's another supercluster near there called the Shapley supercluster. The Shapley supercluster.
You did that. I didn't.
Yeah, I know. Right? Can't say I was off camera there.
No.
We're
You
gonna
were on
find
camera.
So the Shapley supercluster. This is kind of part 2 of the theory.
Do you want to do that again? No, it's up to you.
Shapley.
Okay.
The largest concentration of galaxies in the universe as we know it, because that's why we say observable universe. Can't see the whole universe because the universe is bigger than we know.
Mm-hmm.
And everything seems to be moving towards that. So it's either the Great Attractor or the Shapley supercluster. The Great Attractor gets more press because of the name, the Great Attractor.
Sure.
It sounds like everything's moving towards that. But like scientists are saying that the Shapley supercluster, that's everything is moving towards that. The Milky Way galaxy, us, everything.
So we're spiraling towards that,
Yes.
but we just don't know that we are because we're spiraling around
Yeah.
the sun and the moon, and the
Well,
moon's spiraling around
Okay,
us.
so you have our solar system that is within the Milky Way galaxy.
and so our galaxy is spiraling towards that.
Yes, and the
Gotcha.
observable universe and everything is going, not really spiraling, but everything just seems to be moving towards this area. I guess. The Eli 5 version.
So it's kind of like a big bang
In reverse.
in reverse.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
There, see?
Boom.
Bring it in layman's terms.
There you go. Next one. The Voynich manuscript. Have you heard of this one, Brett?
Well, I've heard of the Voyage,
No, the Voynich.
but I've never heard of the Voynich.
Okay.
Not the Voyage.
Pictures. So this is the Voynich manuscript.
Ooh.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, it really depicts plant life and volcanoes and other things cut in half.
Okay. I mean, it's an illustrated book, right?
I'm like,
No, you can zoom in. Go ahead. Britt's looking at the picture I have, and if you want to look it up, Voynich, kind of like it sounds, Voynich, Voynich manuscript.
I see, like,
If you'd like to read along,
it's like spines of things.
just you look at all the illustrations. I mean, it doesn't.
I mean, I see plant life on one side, but I'm trying to depict what's on the other side. It's like,
Okay, when I tell you what it is, I mean, it's not gonna.
okay, all right, perfect.
All
Go
right.
ahead.
You don't need to get too into it because this
I'm
is
just being scientific over here.
This has been baffling scientists for many, many years. This is an illustrated book that was written in an unknown language that dates back to the 15th century. Came from potentially in northern Italy. Contains drawn pictures of herbs, astronomical and cosmological signs with biological and pharmaceutical sections and even recipes. But they have no idea who the author is. They have no idea what language it's in. And the plant life and everything that you saw in there has no bearing on Earth here.
Antarctica. No, sorry. Sorry, I had a cough in the back of my throat real quick.
Yep.
There might be something down there that might be trying to come to light and fruition of some kind of intelligent life form stuff going on down there.
Yeah. Do your own research on Antarctica. We're talking about the Voyage manuscript
I'm
here.
just saying that. Did they find that down there? I
No,
don't know.
they found it in northern Italy.
Oh, well,
potentially.
So yeah,
So
it got on a ship and made it up there.
The name Voynich is the guy that owned it. He was a rare book. A rare book houser.
You're gonna put this out there. You got to name it after me.
Yeah,
I don't know why he was Russian.
Well, they thought it was a hoax, but like seriously, this has been like they have codexers and cryptologists and everything trying to figure out what this is, and this has been going on for centuries, trying to figure out what is in this book, and no one has yet, as to date, can figure out even what language that it's in, which is interesting to me.
That is very interesting.
Yeah. Next.
Why not?
All right.
Speaking of next.
Oh, man.
You are not doing very good.
I am not. It's because I'm doing all the talking here. These are all
Oh,
my,
yeah, whatever. I do talk to.
Mm-hmm. All right. The next one that I had on my list, the Death Valley Rocks, or the Sealing Stones.
Yeah. Is that the ones that roll?
They
They roll.
They scoot.
I think that in what my theory would be for those is that they scoot because of a magnetic pole. They've got some kind of metal in them, but I mean I know they're not going in like a straight north, west, south.
They change directions,
but they could be gravitating towards something else
potentially. But they're going in different directions.
They could be magnetized to asteroids,
and they switch
moon.
Directions. Potentially, yeah, okay,
right, yeah,
we'll go with that.
You know what I'm saying?
But
They're attracted to the sun. They're attracted to something.
I don't think they're magnetic. One of the best theories that I thought,
it's got something in it. I would say I'd use magnetics because that's what is attracting things.
Yep.
But there's something in it that's attracting it to whatever is rotating around us. Then that's why they change directions and things of that nature. I've got my science degree. No, I don't.
The best theory that I saw was that actually, because these are all located in deserts, and it's in Death Valley, but it's in other deserts too. But Death Valley has the most of them. The best theory that I heard was that when either condensation or water gets in there and it freezes because temperatures drop drastically in Death Valley, that it freezes, gets underneath that rock, and it'll move it just a little bit. And then by the time the sun comes up, it's already evaporated all that, melted the ice and evaporated the water, and so you don't see it. I was like, that's actually pretty plausible.
Yeah, that is actually a very plausible thing.
Yeah. They're still talking about it, though, so has not been solved.
I had one earlier, and it came to mind when we were talking about other structures, and it just now it's
it has left your brain.
Now it has just left my brain. I had something. I'm like, oh yeah, that's one of those unsolvable things that maybe it'll come back up.
All right. Well, here's my last one, and I didn't do any research on it.
Perfect.
All right, we're gonna wing it. We're gonna shoot from the hip. Explaining love.
Ooh, yeah. No, I saw you put that on there.
Mm-hmm.
This we could talk about for a little while, because the funny thing is you never know where you're going to find it. My wife and I met in a circumstance that when they say don't find love at a bar, you shouldn't find love at a bar. But my wife was brought into this bar by her sister, and she didn't want to go out for the evening. She was stuck in bed, and she's like, no, I'm not going out. I'm not going to go do that thing. And she was dragged out of her bedroom by her sister and brought to this bar that I was at, and as soon as she walked in the door, I couldn't get enough of her. She was actually there on a blind date, and got set up by her sister for this blind date, and we kind of snubbed him out. He really got the cold end of the stick on that one. But you can explain it as you never know where you're going to find love. Carly and I's story of I'll say it. I was at Cigarro's, and her sister drug her out, and now we're married.
But
and
you can explain
opposites attract. Like
you can explain like the feeling.
Oh, you can. Well,
or
a lot of people like to think the feeling of love is
lust.
There you go. Thank you. I was like, how do I word this? Lust. And you said it.
Yeah. So what I like to equate the explaining love. I know we don't get religious on this talk.
Do we want to go the barley? I mean,
that's like the barley wine is like the heavy hitter, right?
Well, that's what I asked. If you want to do that or something a little lighter.
Let's do something a little lighter.
That's what I was thinking.
We don't want to end on the barley wine. So I, like I said, we don't talk a lot of religion, and I'm pretty passionate about it, but it's just something that I wanted to keep out of this podcast. That's another podcast for another time. But when people start to explain love, to me, it's very similar to the way people explain faith. It's not something that you can quantify. It's not something you can test for. We can say your heartbeat accelerates and your blood flow increases, and you get flushed and all that. You could say all those things, and you can test for those things. But the actual like love, why you love this person, why you love that person, why you don't love this person, and the actual...
Well, it all has to go down on character.
I know, but like these, it's not something that science can really explain.
No, nobody can explain who you like and dislike.
Yeah. It's like It's like gravity. We know it happens. We just can't explain why or what is causing it. Same with love. We know it happens. I know
We'll figure that one out.
Yeah.
It's your new mic stand.
I know. I love it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm happy with it.
Brian got a Christmas present early.
Mm-hmm. Merry Christmas, Clark.
Merry Christmas.
It's the gift that keeps on giving all year long.
You told me about my birthday present you were going to give me, and I was like, well, if you're going to do that for me, I'm going to do something for you.
Yeah.
But
brothers don't shake hands. Brothers got a hug.
What's this? It's right here. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, we can't say that we don't love each other. I mean, we're brothers.
Blood is thicker than water.
Blood is thicker than water, yeah. And, there's been times that you've held me up to a ceiling fan before, I don't
know what you're talking about.
I don't know what you're saying.
Tied a rope around you. Britt, run.
I don't know. Okay, wow.
What happened there?
Brian, you almost killed your brother.
He's fine. He walked it off.
It's no big deal.
What's funny is you broke your arms on your own. I didn't have anything to do with those.
Yeah, you're right. Anyway, love is a weird thing. You don't know when it's going to happen. You don't choose it. Mm-hmm. I don't think you choose love.
No, but
I think love just happens.
It's like one of the greatest feelings that a human being could ever experience.
Yeah.
But you don't know when, where, who. It just is. It happens. The spark. Light the fire.
And with that said, as much as you love, you can also hate. I mean,
very true.
There are times that Carly and I
wouldn't say you hate each other, though. I mean,
no, exactly.
Because people throw that word around a lot.
Yeah, that. I guess that would be a bad way to say it.
Mm-hmm.
As I love her to death. She's my heart, and she is.
Hate is the opposite,
and hate is the polar opposite of that. So there are times that we disagree.
There you go.
Disagree.
Agree to disagree.
Yeah, love is weird. It
and it's crushing when it leaves you. I mean, it's
it'll put you. There's been so many movies on it where, the girl breaks up with the guy.
There's so many songs. There's so many movies. There's so many documentaries.
Yeah.
There's so many books on it. Love is all you need. Love is just a game.
But here's what it is. When love leaves a guy, does it hit him harder than when love leaves a girl? Because the movie depicts like the girl leaves the guy and he's like, screw life, I'm gonna sit in my apartment in my saggy pants and eat my pizza.
Okay, well,
but and then the girl's like, la da 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 da.
Okay, well,
because she's got 80,000 suitors.
No, so no. I'm
know
gonna
what I'm saying.
I'm gonna go with no on that one because women, I think they feel deeper than men do. So when love leaves them, or a relationship has ended where they feel love, I think that they do what any normal human being would do, is just kind of shut down and they're sad. Men tend to do it a little differently. Okay, that's very, very light.
I
was getting into a thing.
Go ahead.
You're fine.
You haven't even finished yours.
I haven't because I'm on a thought train here.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Chug along with me. So women they feel deeper. So when love is lost, they go into a semi-depression, but they let it out. They
cry
sit at
it
home.
out.
Yeah, they cry it out. They sit at home. They men bash.
I'll say this: my wife cries more than I do.
A lot of women do.
Tough guy,
and that's kind of like a I wouldn't say cultural. I think that's more of a men versus women thing. And I'm not saying it happened. Like there are men that cry at the drop of a hat, but by and large, when you think of stigmas between men and women, you think that women feel deeper and men tend to just not wear their emotions on their sleeve. They just bury it down deep. So when women get out of a relationship where love is lost, they cry and they go into a depression and they don't want to talk to anybody and they get it out, and then it's done, and then they heal, and then they get back into it. Where men, they tend to feel it more either at the surface, it's more of a lust thing for them, or they try and cover it up.
A month later they're like, what did I do wrong?
Or they try and cover it up with something else. They try and go out and
go drink and
or sleep with a bunch of different women, or they just go out and sow their wild oats or whatever. I don't know really the point of what we're talking about here. It's just we got off.
It's love.
We got off
love makes you do weird things.
It does. And we're not the love experts.
No, we're not. Phone in.
Yeah,
this is the Doctor of Love show.
Yes, this is the Dr. Ruth show.
No, don't. We don't have a phone. Well, we do have phones, but they aren't tied into this thing. If we ever wanted to do that, I can get my hands on a Gettner box.
Message us at pound Drink Talk Nation or at Drink Talk Nation.
Oh, Winther just hanging. What are you doing up so late, Winther?
Go to bed, Chris.
Go to bed. No, you're all right.
No.
We're just having fun.
We're chiming in about love.
We're getting into our last beer, which Brian's trying to get into. I've got Infusion Brewing Company here. This is the vanilla bean, which everybody loves a vanilla bean.
It has become their staple.
But this is the Gingerbread Ale. Gingerbread Blonde.
Okay.
And
last week we just had the Gingerbread Stout.
Which was super dark.
From Backswing Brewing Company.
He goes always up. Love it.
Did you want to chime in, Chris, on love?
Oh, hey, hey, Chris, I would love to hear something science can't explain from you if we haven't talked about it already. I'm sure you haven't gone through our entire show and watched, but maybe you have. I don't know. There's been 1 or 2, 3, 4 people watching from time to time. So
throw out something that you want to know.
Yeah,
about.
You want to talk about something that science can't explain? Because I had something, man, it was right there on the tip of my tongue, and you kept going with your thing. And
I think we went down a rabbit hole of love.
Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah,
I can't explain that at all. She got shrunk and then
eat me, and I don't know. It was kind of weird.
Global warming.
Oh, science
can kind of explain that. So, like,
they can explain temperature differences, but they can't explain what's the starting point.
Well,
we're going to get political on this one. Holy crap.
Yeah, doesn't the Earth kind of rotate on an axis?
It does.
So
it kind of lists 45 degrees apart.
Yeah, so rotating on that axis, you would build up your snow and winter and icebergs and all that stuff. And now it's off that axis, so it's rotating a different way. And so those polar ice caps are melting, but other ones are getting stronger.
Here's what I want to know. Okay. We're going to do a little side tangent on the global warming.
Sure.
So, Earth is tilted, right?
Yes.
Okay. And it's rotating, right?
Yep.
Okay. And you know centrifugal force, right?
Right.
Which is supposed to throw things out, right? But it doesn't. It keeps things in, right?
Which we were talking about earlier in this program.
Okay. Lay a map
Like
out.
a bike tire.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But lay
You
a
put
map.
a rock in a bike tire.
Yeah.
It's going to stay on the outside
Should
of the
go
bike
out.
tire.
Yeah. Now we're also talking about the vacuum of space, so that has no bearing on it because there's no gravity in space. Anyway, what we're talking about here is the Earth. So if you look at the Earth, Pacific Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, opposite sides of the Earth, right?
Correct.
Okay. Which is bigger?
The Pacific.
Exactly. So, which is heavier?
The Atlantic.
Why? Because it's smaller.
It's
The Pacific would be because it has more.
okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So you have this.
I thought you went heavy water density.
Yeah. So water has its own density, which is 1.
Well, let's just say there's more salt in the Atlantic than there is the Pacific.
Is there really?
Mhm.
Why?
I don't know.
No, it's
I
not.
just made that up.
Yeah, you did. There is not.
He goes, sorry, man. Man-made. Man-made global warming.
Okay.
All right,
I'm with you.
all right.
We'll get there, Chris. Well, trust me, we'll get there.
Yeah.
But if you think about the Earth tilt, and you're talking about the rotation of the Earth, and you're talking about the Pacific and the Atlantic is on one side, the Pacific is on the other, and the Atlantic is a lot smaller, like by a lot.
Well, okay. They said that.
Do we wobble?
We were one continent.
Yes, Pangea.
And broke up.
But then that begs the question of if Pangea is on one side and the oceans are on the other, what's heavier, land or water? And why are we wobbling? Because we're not.
Well,
how are we equally balanced?
In space, are we? What is our weight in space? Do you get what I'm saying? Outside of the Earth's gravity,
I do,
which
but
we talked about on the show, gravity.
But there is a central.
Outside of that, we weigh nothing.
There is a center of the Earth, and we're rotating. And if we're a ball, and we're rotating, and one side is heavier than the other, and it doesn't. I mean, there's got to be some kind of fluctuation, right? Like a wobble.
Yeah.
I mean, do you weeble, but you wobble, and you don't fall down? I mean, I don't know.
Maybe you've been drinking.
Anyway, yeah, could be.
He goes, it's been happening since creation. Well, let's just blame it on the trees then.
Yeah. Chris, I'm with you on that one. So when it comes to man-made global warming, are we doing anything to help the problem? No. We are not.
Are we? Well, we're doing some things to try to fix the problem.
And that's where we're going to get into trouble.
Yeah, well, trying to. What's it take to make a solar panel?
Carbon scrubbers or CO2 scrubbers.
Yeah, it takes more energy to make a windmill than it does to actually get energy off of that windmill.
Depends on the size of the windmill, but yeah. So, Chris, the man-made global warming is wiped out in one volcanic eruption. I will totally go with you on that one. Am I missing out?
My God.
I started to get on Chris's tangent, but we'll get back to Chris's tangent.
Chris, I'm sorry. We got to pause this program for this gingerbread vanilla bean blonde beer.
Does it taste like Christmas?
I should have gotten one more of these 6-packs. They said limit 1, but I'm sure I could have talked her into 2 since I was spending like $80.
When they say limit 1, you should always try for more. I mean, because they're saying this stuff is awesome.
Usually what I say is I'm buying for another person.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, go ahead and let's cheersy clinky clinky on this one.
Clinky.
This is phenomenal.
Oh wow. Like it's a very bready smell.
This is
I'm not even tasted
gingerbread.
I have not even tasted it yet, and I just smelled it, and it's a gingerbready smell.
I'm eating a gingerbread house
in liquid form. Drinking a liquid
form of vanilla bean gingerbread house.
Oh, for sure. My goodness, it's like they did like a gingerbread house extract.
Yeah,
and put it in a
drink
in a beer. This tastes like I'm drinking a gingerbread cookie.
It's good.
Fast as fast can be. Can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread man.
Down on Drill Hill Lane.
Do you know the Muffin Man?
I know the Muffin Man.
Down on Drury Lane. Wow. This is they don't call it infusion for nothing, right?
Right. They infused a gingerbread into this.
Well done.
Infusion.
So that was when I took Britt out to the Homebrew Fest. Some of the beers that were more interesting was not that we would order them all the time, but the ones that I found most fascinating were where you could take a beer and make it taste like something completely different. Like, there's a beer that tastes like peanut butter. Am I going to order it all the time? No. But the fact that you made a beer taste like peanut butter, that's amazing.
Yeah.
You made a beer that tasted like a gingerbread cookie? That's amazing.
With that said, there is one thing when they do, like, I like coffee. I like beer.
Uh-huh.
I don't like coffee beer.
Okay, so I'm going to... Remember I talked about this a couple of weeks ago about Pint 9. Actually came out with Cafe... what is it? It's Cafe O something. O Cafe? Maybe it's O Cafe. But, yeah. I took it off the tap. It wasn't carbonated. It was like from the tap. It was before it was carbonated. It was delicious. I'm going to have to go out and... They just released that a couple of weeks ago, so I need to go out and try that one. What's Chris saying now?
I know, he's on fire. I love it. It says the center of the Earth is liquid, and that might be the equator. He goes,
liquid hot magma.
Spinning weight. What is the spinning weight of the Earth?
I don't know. And is it equalized? That's where I was going with the whole thing, with the Pacific and the Atlantic.
Well, like you were saying, it's you put an object inside of a bike tire and drive down the road, it's going to stay on the outer perimeter of it. So
okay.
There's no, that'd be with no gravity.
I know, but here's the
pull.
thing. Let's say, just for argument's sake, let's just say the Atlantic is twice the size of the Pacific. So the Pacific, let's just say it's a 50-pound weight, and then the Atlantic would be a 25-pound weight. And you have a 25-pound weight on one side, and you have a 50-pound weight on the other side. There's got to be some kind of wobble, and that's I know the center of the Earth is liquid, and that might have to throw off the balance or counterbalance it. I don't know. I don't claim to be a scientist. These are the things that really kept me out of the good schools. So these are the things I think about, and I just want to know, how do we spin when I don't really believe that the land mass versus ocean versus everything else is completely balanced and everything? I don't know. Maybe I'm just talking about my posterior. I don't know. And I can't really read Britt's screen right now, so I don't know what Chris is saying. But I want to get back to Chris's point on global warming. He had talked about man-made global warming. And they don't call it global warming anymore. They call it climate change. But here's the thing. They talk about man-made global warming is the thing that is the biggest problem. Are we doing anything to help the problem? No, we are not doing anything to help the problem whatsoever. We are completely going against the grain on that one. But if you take one volcanic eruption compared to what man has done for carbon dioxide or carbon monoxide, one volcanic eruption erases the entirety of the human race. There is more of that in one eruption than there is in anything that we've done in the entirety of our history.
So, speaking of spinning weight, now that I'm thinking about this, I was in the bathroom. I'm like, spinning weight. What is he doing? So unless we get foreign objects from outer space, aka asteroids, aka
the moon,
UFO, aka all stuff from outer space, the Earth is always going to weigh the same.
Okay.
Yes, the Earth will always weigh the same.
Okay,
because minerals we extract from the ground, things that we burn off, the rain comes back down. The sheer weight of the Earth never changes.
I wish we no. I'm going to say you're right, but you're wrong because you're not going along with what I'm thinking here.
Okay.
So you have land mass versus water. I don't know what weighs more.
But water evaporates, and then it gets rained down somewhere else.
Yeah, but
it's an iceberg. It melts. It goes, but it's still an iceberg at one point. Now it's the water of the ocean. So, the weight of the Earth is still the same unless something outside of the Earth comes in.
But you're looking at the Earth as a whole. I'm talking about specifics. Like,
person has a baby? Well, no. The weight's still the same.
Yeah, but some things weigh more than others. Let's say your right arm's bigger than your left arm. It's going to weigh more, right? So, Asia is a lot bigger than the United States. Asia and Russia combined is a lot bigger than the United States.
How was that human created? It was created by
I'm
a
talking
person ingesting food, and then it created the human being inside of it, and then they had the human being. And
I'm specifically talking
but
about
that
balance.
the weight of that human being was determined by the
Right.
fluid and the food that they ate, which was created on land, which we harvested a seed from.
Okay.
I'm going deep here.
No. Okay, so
you get what I'm saying?
no, I get what you're saying.
The weight of the Earth is always going to stay the same,
Right, and
Unless a foreign object comes into it.
you're taking it as a whole.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, the distribution of that weight seems off to me.
Okay.
So if you take in the Atlantic versus the Pacific, which the Atlantic is a lot smaller than the Pacific, the United States or Americas, even North and South America, are a lot smaller than Africa and Asia and Russia. So it seems off if you look at the weight of those.
It says, the middle should shift to equalize the weights.
Okay, and that's
what he was saying.
That's kind of when he said the center is liquid. That kind of, yes, it counterbalances it.
Yeah.
So I get it, and you can actually see a little bubble out when the moon is. You got high tide versus low tide. You can
I
actually
was
see.
watching something, and didn't they say like the Earth's shape is not really round? It's
No.
more pear-shaped.
I don't know about pear-shaped, but you can actually see a bubble out. Like when the moon is closer, you can see it like bubble towards the moon a little bit more, and all that. That's where you get high tide, low tide.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Like,
When the moon is full.
I've
Okay.
never seen it bubble out, bro.
When the moon is full. Well, yeah.
I'd be like, I need to change my contacts.
I've never been outside the Earth, so I don't know.
True that.
Yeah, and if I was, then we could solve the flat Earth /
This is interesting.
I know.
This is a whole lot of holiday joy right here. I'm gonna have to pick up some of this for Christmas. Speaking of that,
I don't know that I could drink this all night.
no.
It is very interesting.
What I'm saying is, you let somebody at least have one of them, you know. But speaking of that, while I was at Beertopia getting beers, I thought to myself, we should probably get some Christmas beers for our Christmas show, which we'll be doing on Christmas Eve.
Oh, yes, we will.
Which is a Sunday.
Yes, we will.
So I think that we need to stockpile. I will buy a 6-pack or 2 or 8, 12, 15
I think
pack.
Boulevard has a nutcracker, not nutcracker.
When you go to buy beer, go ahead and go to Beertopia next Sunday. And they have lots of Christmas beers to choose from.
Very good.
Just
I'm all
letting
about
you-
that. All
just
about that
letting you know.
base. No trouble.
You're silly.
No, I tried. Chris did
Chris is still just ranting and raving.
yeah,
over here.
excellent. Did we answer your question on global warming?
I'm sure that his next thing would be like, no.
I'm with you on the man-made global warming. It is
Mount St. Helen put particles into the atmosphere, and then man did from the beginning. Okay, that's fine.
That's exactly
okay,
what I said.
So it was in the Mount St. Helen.
One volcanic
No. Okay, Mount St. Helen is a mountain, and it went
volcano.
or volcano. You know what I mean? It went.
I know what you mean, but
It went like this into the atmosphere, and it went, and it fell back down to the earth, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it took up a lot of landmass to do that, but it's still the same weight. It's not. It didn't leave.
we're not on weight anymore. We're on climate change.
Oh, I see. I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing there. Sorry.
Done with the weight.
Was I in the bathroom? I
Yeah.
must have been in the
That's
bathroom.
right. Yeah, the whole weight thing is just I don't know.
Yo, no, I agree. I agree with volcanoes that blow up. Yeah, it does more damage to the Earth's atmosphere than cars ever did.
Yeah,
for sure.
absolutely.
No, I agree with you there.
But
Chris.
I'm also in the we are stewards of this planet, and we are not being good stewards of this planet.
No.
So I am
There's a
of
better
that.
way to do coal than burn it.
I mean, do we need to burn? I mean, there's other. The problem is,
I'm saying our coal power plant, OPPD.
I know, but
That's what we're saying.
we actually buy more energy than we actually produce there. But anyway,
But then we shut down our nuclear plant.
I know. So there are we got this into this with alternative energy, and there are alternative energy things available, but the problem is they're imperfect technologies, such as solar power is really, really good, but how do we do it at night? Can't.
Yeah.
Can't overcome night. They've overcome clouds and they've overcome weather, but they can't overcome night. So they have to stockpile that energy. But battery technology right now is not as good as it should be. It's getting better.
It's getting way better.
Especially,
thank you, Tesla.
Yeah, yes, thank you, Elon Musk.
I keep bouncing back because I love this is good. I like conversation back and forth. I wish like I said, we could phone a friend. He goes, look at all the fires that are going on in California right now. Well, I mean, that's a natural die off of things, and things will be recreated from that, which is great, which is a good thing.
I got a point on that one. So I had a buddy of mine that just posted this, and he said back in the early 1900s, early to mid 1900s, we bought a bunch of eucalyptus trees from Australia. Early, like 1902, bought a crap ton of eucalyptus trees and planted them here. The problem was Australia didn't say two things. A, that they're going to take 100 years to mature. Okay, so there was a lot of investors that lost their money on there. Yeah, sir, it's going to take longer than your life to mature. So now, that was 1902. We're getting to the point where now that they're mature, in 2017, they've matured 100 years. They're mature plants. Oh, by the way, when they mature, they let off a flammable gas when they mature.
I see where you're going with this.
And that's why California's burning right now.
Yep. Oops.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah. There's also the rules and regulations of California. They are very protective of their species of whatever wildlife or plant life they have. Whether it's invasive or not, or whether it's very flammable or not, you can't go and clear it. So that's another problem of California. Yeah, that stuff over there that's just like...
Burn, mother trucker, burn.
That's really bad, and we should clear that. Oh, yeah, that's protected by the laws of California, and we can't go clear that.
We've really gotten away from science. Can't. Because
and we're like
now
like
we are science can.
Are we at like 2 hours now?
Yeah, we're 10 minutes away from it.
Excellent. All right, we should probably shut this down.
I know, because we have gone way away from what science can't explain.
Chris, if you want to stay
science on, can totally explain fires.
Yeah, Chris, if you want to stay on, we can hang with you if you want to stick around and ask some more questions. But we do have to shut this version of the podcast down right now.
Absolutely,
and we'll do the after talk with Chris.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, you can. Our your phone number.
Yeah. So all right. So this has been an episode of Drink Talk. We have been drinking a smattering of beers, and lately it's been this Christmas. Oh yes,
you don't have to go.
Yeah, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. We've also been talking on things that science can't explain, and some of them have been fun. Some have been interesting.
Some were quick. Some were fast. Some were slow. Some were. We need to talk about them again. Mm-hmm. It's been really... I liked it. It started off kind of slow. It was like bing, 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 bing. And then we're like, once you get a few drinks in, that's fun. Yeah.
We can solve all these.
We can go on all night.
Yep. But that's all I got.
Yeah.
So my name's Brian.
I'm Britt.
And thank you for joining us tonight.
Holla.